Hello, and welcome to a series where I read short, spooky stories. After closing. Denton's department store was one of those places that clung to life like a ghost clings to its house, refusing to change, refusing to die. It still had the old burgundy carpet that muffled footsteps too well, the perfume counter that reeked of dust and rosewater, and those flickering fluorescent lights that buzzed louder than the music overhead. But worst of all were the mannequins. They were relics, not the sleek, faceless models you'd see at the mall. These were older, too human. Their features were finely sculpted, glassy eyes with flecks of color, delicately shaped lips, and hands curled in subtle, expressive poses. Too real, too much care in their creation. Some had visible veins beneath their translucent plastic skin. One had a faint mole on her cheek. Another had an almost imperceptible scar above his eyebrow. No two were alike. Ava had only been working at Denton's for 3 weeks. She was 21, in between semesters, and desperate for anything that wasn't retail. But Denton's was the only place that called her back. The job wasn't hard, the customers were few, but the second floor, women's apparel, was hers to close each night. And that floor had them. The mannequins. They were placed in small, unnatural clusters across the floor. Some dressed, some bare, some posed like they were mid-conversation or staring out over the balcony railing at the lower level. Ava hated being around them. She always felt like she was interrupting something. The third week of work was when she started noticing little changes. A mannequin turned slightly between shifts. Another held its arm at a different angle. Subtle things she couldn't prove. She asked one of her coworkers, Lorna, about it. "Oh yeah," Lorna said, sucking her teeth. "Those things move sometimes. Not like move, just you'll think you imagined it. I don't mess with them." Ava laughed it off. Kind of. But by Thursday, the unease was getting under her skin. That night, the store closed at 9. She was the last one upstairs by 9:20, doing the usual, turning the music off, sweeping the floors, checking the dressing rooms. The mannequin stood silent and still in the dim light. She tried not to look too long. When she was locking up the last dressing room, she heard it. Click, click, click. Soft plastic tapping on tile. She froze. Ava turned her head slowly. Nothing. Just a wall of mannequins across the room, motionless in their fake winter coats. She moved quickly toward the elevator, the hairs on her arm rising like static. She pressed the call button and waited. Click, click. Closer this time. Her breath hitched. She spun around and again. Nothing. The mannequins hadn't moved. Had they? She was sure the one in the red coat had been facing sideways earlier. The elevator dinged. Relief. She stepped inside and pressed 1. As the door slid shut, she looked up, and her heart dropped. The mannequin stood just outside the elevator. One she hadn't seen before. It wore a dusty gray dress, and its hands was outstretched toward her, like it had just missed catching the door. The elevator doors closed. She went straight home, didn't look back, and didn't say anything to her boss the next morning. She convinced herself it was exhaustion, stress, low blood sugar, whatever. But the next night, she didn't take the elevator. She was halfway through closing when she noticed it, a mannequin at the end of the aisle, dressed in the same gray dress, same outstretched hand. She hadn't heard anyone bring it up. Denton's wasn't exactly adding inventory these days. No one said anything about a new display. As she approached, she saw it clearly. The mannequin's face were more detailed than the others. Its lips parted slightly. Its eyes, they had depth, layers, not painted on, but placed on, glass over glass, and its pupils were dilated. It wasn't just a mannequin. It looked like someone frozen. That night, the power cut out at exactly 9:17. All the lights went out except for the red emergency bulbs above the exit, bathing the floor in a flickering, hellish glow. And then, footsteps. Heavy, awkward footsteps, like something stiff was learning to walk. She ran. She sprinted through aisles, past the perfume counter and the 2 quiet fitting rooms. The mannequins were wrong. They weren't in the same places. They weren't in their places anymore. Some stood in the middle of aisles. One was crouched like it had just landed from a jump. One was right behind her. She could feel it. She turned a corner too fast, slipped, and hit the carpet hard. As she looked up, the mannequins were forming a line between her and the stairway exit. Their arms hung loosely, some of their heads tilted at unnatural angles. One had a mouth open too wide, the jaw just slightly unhinged. Then, at once, they stepped forward in perfect sync. Ava screamed. She didn't remember the rest, just the exit sign getting farther away. She woke up in the break room. The manager told her she was found unconscious, passed out from exhaustion. "You've been working too hard," he said. "Take the weekend off." When she came back on Monday, she went upstairs to the second floor. Everything looked normal again, except one of the mannequins had changed. Just slightly. It had her hairstyle, her build, a tiny freckle on its wrist, same spot as hers. It wore a gray dress, and in its glassy, too human eyes, she saw herself, still screaming.